All right, Shmuley, welcome back to Newsbeast. Oh, for God's
You've
sake.
got to be kidding.
Just give it to me, please. Give it to me.
Botach.
I just turned
This
it
is
on.
enough.
This is unbelievable.
Debbie?
During the campaign, there was certainly a lot of attention given to the issue of Israel, criticism of the Obama administration, but a lot of people wrote, watching the Obama administration's staunch defense of Israel's right to self-defense in this most recent conflict, that you know, there are very few stronger advocates of whether it's funding Iron Dome. Susan Rice's statement at the UN. You've been very critical of Susan Rice lately, but
About
I mean,
something else, about
about
Rwanda.
something else. But do you think that statement by her and the Obama administration's actions in this conflict were what you would have hoped for?
You know, I believe in values, and you show gratitude when it is due, and you give credit where it is due. President Obama has been phenomenal on Israel since the election. And he has thus far shown that the concerns
I think
that
that's
many
news,
of us
ladies
have,
and
That is news. That's the
He
whole
has
quote.
even though I said I'm announcing my
understood.
presidential run today,
Which
for
was also
2016.
inevitable, by the way,
This
Shmuley,
is,
but
that's
yes.
the real news on this program.
Thought it might be.
The Jewish community owes President Obama a phenomenal debt of gratitude. There were many of us who were concerned that based on him not having to face the electorate again, that he would not be as supportive. And in fact, he's gone in the opposite direction. This time in Gaza, with Israel's response, he didn't say things like, we'd like to see restraint on the part of Israelis. He allowed Israel to defend itself unequivocally. My issue with Susan Rice is a completely different issue. The United States has to have a strong, robust, and moral foreign policy. This is a woman who in 1994 actually made a statement that maybe they should not use the word genocide for the Rwandan genocide, a place that I visited during my congressional race, because it might affect the November midterm congressional elections. Now with Benghazi, many of us are of the opinion that she may have played similar political games in denying it was a terror attack when 4 Americans were brutally slaughtered. We want a Secretary of State who, above all else, puts America's moral interests and emphasizes the moral character of our foreign policy. And political interests can't come first. If she's prepared to get up and make an unequivocal apology for American failures in Rwanda, because this is the strongest nation on earth, and if we can't use our wealth and our resources and our military might to defend people around the world who are being subjected to slaughter because of the color of their skin, or because of some ethnic strife, if we can't stop that, then what do we stand for? Plasma TV screens and wall-to-wall carpeting? I think one of the reasons our economy kind of sucks is we've forgotten why we make money in the first place. When people have moral purpose, they prosper, they do well, because their money is used for something other than just selfish purposes.
I mean, but I think she has expressed, and certainly the Clinton administration has expressed deep regret for a failure to intervene in Rwanda. But just to be clear, so if she were to do that, would you all of a sudden support her for Secretary of State, or are you a John Kerry kind of guy?
I think she is a capable woman. I think she could do a very good job, but I want to know that she puts American morality first and not political considerations.
Newsbeast, bringing people together. That's what we do. I do have another question for you, and not to box Michael out here, but Sheldon Adelson gave your campaign, or Super PAC Associated, over $1 million. First of all, how was that? What was that?
We lost.
Yes. No. Yeah. But I've never had anyone give me $1 million.
Well, first of all, he gave
Not
it
you,
to
but the
a completely
Associated
independent super PAC.
Correct.
We had absolutely no way of saying how it would even be spent.
Sure.
Having said that, Sheldon and Miriam are phenomenal Jews. They are not just philanthropists. They're very proud of their Jewish identity, and that doesn't always happen at the highest levels of our community. Traditionally, Jews often assimilate. They don't always internalize great Jewish pride. Here you have a couple who are staunch supporters of Israel. They speak proudly on the part of Israel, and I don't know why they supported me. I'd like to believe that one of the reasons is that I'm a staunch supporter of Israel.
I would think.
I mean, you know, the good looks may have been a big consideration.
Almost certainly determinative on
Right,
that.
right. Yeah. That was the final consideration, but we had to build up to that. And in terms of the PR that we talked about before, that Israel always gets this bad PR, there's no better way of correcting that than people seeing for themselves what the reality of the situation is like.
A trip to Israel is always transformative.
When Abbas goes to the United Nations, and in his speech wanting this observer status says that Israel's a racist state, Israel has 1.5 million Arab citizens that are treated better than any Arabs anywhere in the Middle East, period.
I'm going to bring it back to Adelson quickly, and I'll say that the interesting thing about this election is that it did explode a number of funny stereotypes. One is you have Sheldon Adelson giving $1 million to a super PAC that went to a rabbi. You know, take that, anti-Semites. He lost. I'm just saying.
The man
you
to
know,
be fight
you
hard.
can't. Jews buying elections. Take that. The other thing is that we were talking about this offset. You know, Adelson saying that he's a social liberal.
So interviewed today in the Wall Street Journal.
By the way, this is runs parallel to the Koch meme. Politico did a story about David Koch, and there was a headline that said, expose David Koch supports gay marriage. David Koch was the vice presidential candidate
of the Libertarian Party.
In 1980 with Ed Clark. So, I mean, these guys, they became these sort of hate figures. Two things that are interesting about this. There was this unnuanced portrayal or non-nuanced portrayal of that, people were surprised that the Adelsons were sort of socially liberal people, the same thing with David Koch. And the other thing that's interesting is that local races, it had an effect, but you just can't buy national elections. I mean, we've known this since Michael Huffington, maybe even before that, but the kind of heavy breathing about money and races, I think this is one of the amazing takeaways from 2012.
But just stay focused on the Adelson saying he's socially liberal. I mean, how many more folks need to, I mean, you're a libertarian kind of guy. You've spoken out about how the Republican Party needs to get over its hang-ups with regard to sexual identity, be more inclusive. When some of the party's biggest donors start articulating a libertarian philosophy, saying they're socially liberal, but obviously fiscally conservative, is that enough to start moving the needle?
Well, with all due respect, I tell people like the Adelsons and other Jewish donors to the GOP that it's not their money which is the most needed at this point. It's really their values. Jewish values, I think, are a good counter to some of the Christian, social, sexual, obsessive values that we've seen in politics. We rabbis don't do a lot of talking about gay marriage. I mean, I have a gay Orthodox Jewish brother who tries to lead a religious life. Abortion is not our issue. Raising great kids is. I said from the beginning that the reason I ran in one of the most democratic districts in the country, knowing how hard it would be to win amidst these good looks, was that I wanted to talk about making marital counseling tax deductible instead of obsessing over gays marrying. I wanted to talk more about recreating an American Sabbath on Sundays, giving tax incentive to businesses who allow their employees to be home with their children, rather than talking about abortion, for goodness sake. How did three sexual values come to define the Republican Party?
Final word. So we pick a word out of the zeitgeist to tie it all together.
Does that have to be out of the zeitgeist? No, because I would just say exhausted.
Fine. That works.
Okay?
You have a child.
My word, book buying.
Hyphen.
Fed up man of faith.
Yeah.
Challenging God in the face of tragedy and suffering.
All hyphens.
One long hyphen.
That's right.
Fine, I'll do the same. Deadline artist.
And I do want
Deadline artist.
I need your endorsement for my presidential race. I'm starting now to ask for
I
it.
know.
So
Listen. I think it is A, inevitable, and B, will be a lot of fun to watch at the very least.
Gentiles for Shmuley.
There you go. That's Michael's new group. Thanks for joining us all in a very freewheeling Newsbeast. Always when Rabbi Shmuley's in the house. We will see you tomorrow. Take care.